Hey everyone, I'm Paul. This is Rich Hannon.
Hey, how are you?
Why are we here, Rich?
We have two new exciting instruments that we're going to talk about today that I'm pretty stoked about.
They're similar and very different.
They're very similar, but very different as well, yes.
Yeah. So we'll get into that.
We're going to get into a little bit of that.
All right,
today.
great. So Rich, nice playing.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you.
nice
You as
playing.
well.
I think at some point we'll switch guitars. You can play this one to that amp
cool.
too. So look, this is going to be the Myles Kennedy Signature Model, and that's an NF53, which we've been working on for 2 years.
I'm going to say going on 3 years.
Something like that.
Yeah, pretty close to that.
So
as well.
there was this meeting that we had in which we decided not only would we get into the sound of guitar, but we would release them at the same time so people weren't confused.
Of course, yeah.
Because there are a lot of similarities and a lot of differences. But the decision at the meeting was that we were going to do it in a no-hum configuration. And the thing that I adore about these instruments is you can turn the gain way up and it's dead quiet.
Yeah.
You know, we'll be playing clean today.
Yeah.
But for me, the fact that you can get this sound without the noise is remarkable. A lot of people playing this style of guitar are making the amp so it's just barely distorting when they hit it hard. And they do that because at some point, the hum's louder than the guitar.
Yeah, and there are some instances in country music as well where guys are playing with a lot of gain.
Yeah.
They're playing this style of guitar with country music,
Yeah,
but
well.
a lot more gain than you know, traditional pickers.
And you took that instrument to Nashville and got a lot of feedback from the artists. What was their general take?
It was great at first. When everybody came in, they really didn't know what to expect.
Right.
I think that people were kind of looking for more of a traditional single cutaway version of a Silver Sky,
Right.
instead of a more of a proprietary ground up design.
Right.
Guys say that they would play it just strictly based off aesthetics. I was like, well, I mean, of course it looks good. But
Well, can you plug it in, please?
can you plug it in and
Yeah.
play it? But especially the, you know, a lot of guys use the word game changer, which was awesome.
And why did they think it was game changing? Because of the sound of the pickups not humming? Or,
Well, the sound of the pickups not humming.
but also the actual getting the note of the pickup, getting it to resonate at the right note.
That to
at the
where
right amount.
it really did the country kind of twang thing in sort of a modern way, where, you know, like the playability is different. You're not fighting it. It's familiar yet reminiscent of you know, harkening back to the days of you know, American country music. And I was very nervous when I had that meeting. We had about 30 people on our showroom in Nashville.
Yeah, but confident too because you had good guitar.
I was very confident because I truly 100% believe in the instruments. And we kid around down there where we call it the Venus flytrap of the showroom.
Why?
Because everybody that just gravitates towards it.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh,
it's still hush
You're
hush.
talking about this instrument.
Yeah,
Well, it's not going to be hush hush as
It's
of
still
this
hush
video.
hush, but yeah.
Let me show you something about this pickup,
Yeah.
Rich. There are 4 magnets pulling on the string.
Yeah.
What we did was put exactly half the material of a normal round magnet in that side and half the material on that side. So there's only the equivalent of 1 magnet in terms of its pull strength.
Oh, okay.
And there are pieces of other material in between that give the sound of a big piece of steel on the bottom. We worked really hard on this, and we weren't sure if it was going to work or not. But when it finally did start to work, remember we started to all get excited.
I do, yeah.
Because this thing sounded beautiful. It's very sensitive in terms of getting it lined up so it sounds dead right. But the surprise was this one, the tone of this here. Let me just see the guitar real quick.
Yeah.
So let me just show everybody. This bass pickup, to me, is different than this.
Yeah.
More like a Silver Sky. And we were like, oh my God, because on these guitars, normally the bass pickup's almost useless. Unless, you know, people have been changing the humbuckings and things
That
for
or
years.
they'll
And,
bring the tone down and play jazzy stuff
or
with it,
whatever.
so, yeah.
But this thing just sounded gorgeous to me. And
But that's our new kind of incarnation of the Narrowfield family, right?
that's correct.
Yeah.
So narrowfield just meaning that it's sensing a narrow field of the string. But to go after this thing where it wasn't humming and we wanted to not even close to sound like a humbucker. Although on that guitar, that's dead in the middle. On the Myles Kennedy, it's halfway between a humbucker and a single coil.
Yeah.
And if I do exactly the same thing, let me have that guitar and I'll do the same thing, right? By the way, it's important to do apples to apples where there's absolutely no change of amp, no change of anything. This bass pickup is a little more humbucking. And the treble pickup. I got a chance to sit in with Alter Bridge, and that's online. When Myles was playing the guitar, he was getting a sound I had never heard.
He was playing the prototype.
He was playing the prototype, and I was like, that thing sounds really cool. And he was like, yeah, it does. And he was proudly using it, proudly.
Yeah.
I went up to Myles, and this tone was erupting out of this instrument that I loved. That's a very good band, by the way.
Yes, they are. Yes,
Very
they
good
are.
band. So, what is his thought about this? And then I'll tell you what my thought about this
Sure.
NF53
So, when we started talking to Myles about doing that, he had been gravitating towards some of his older guitars.
Mm-hmm.
And he had said, you know what, they do this thing well, but they don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so is there any way that we could kind of keep what I like and then build off of what I don't like and make better? So the pickups I remember you getting very excited about. And I think that I think Myles was originally thinking it was going to be a single coil instrument.
Right.
And then when we came up with the Narrowfield design and enhanced that based off of those notes of the older guitars, he was over the moon.
We actually measured his favorite guitar in terms of not how many inches wide, but in terms of its frequency response and its pitch and all that. And we were able to get that dead right. The thing I liked is that he decided to put this on. What you and Myles talked about it. When he pulls it up, it loses a little high end, so that when he's playing his crunch chords, which were recorded with big humbuckers, he can get that tone on stage.
Yeah, so with his older guitars, he had said to me, he's like, I find myself rolling back
the tone a
little bit when I go from clean to dirty.
Right.
And he's like, is there any way that we could put that on a switch or a push-pull? And once we figured out the values of the components to make that happen.
That was easy.
It was, and a lot of the country guys in Nashville felt that useful too. He's like, sometimes we want to get a little bit of a darker.
So you brought this guitar to the shootout as well?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And again, there's a lot of country bands that use modern rock sounds.
Can you do me a favor and play this guitar with exactly the same exact thing you played before so everybody can hear it?
Sure.
Experience that difference? It's the same kind of hybrid picking, but how does it feel different to you? Because obviously the body shapes are a little different and the pickups are made a little bit different. Same bridge. And
this is hotter. The upper mids are a little more aggressive, which I think makes it a really nice rock guitar. But it still does that thing, that you need, even that it's hot and aggressive.
So, we compared the volume of the NF53 to an old Blackguard, 53 Blackguard, and it's 3 or 4 dB louder than that, and you're talking about that being louder than this.
Yeah.
And, for Myles, this has to be not just competitive, but beat all the other guitars he has, because he wouldn't do it otherwise. A lot of these really good musicians won't have a signature model unless they adore it.
Right.
And
the big thing with Myles as well is that he's been a veteran PRS artist for 20 years, so he needs something that kind of fits in with all of his PRSs. Where,
well, he's got a lot of different kinds of music he's playing as
yeah,
well.
I mean, from a solo stuff, but the alter bridge stuff, it goes from chimey clean to really high gain stuff, and he's really excited about it.
So, Rich, let's talk about what's similar and what's different.
Okay.
So, body shape's slightly different, obviously, right?
Yep.
Pickups are different. We talked about that, but
Yep.
they're in the same kind of vein. You can get
Still
this,
Narrowfields, but this is kind of the second incarnation.
right? So these have steel pole pieces, and these have magnetic pole pieces. This guitar is a little louder. Pick guard's the same shape.
Nope. Pick guards are tweaked.
A little bit different, right?
Control layout's a little different.
This thing is not on that guitar.
Right. Bone nut, maple neck, maple board.
Tuning pegs are slightly different. This has our new tuning peg button. It's a plastic button. This has a metal button. This is locks. This has no locks.
Correct.
Look, there's so many things that are similar, but there's so many things that are different too. It's going to feel like a different guitar with a lot of similarities. That's why we decided to release them at the same time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that these guitars fill a void for us, but it does attack a slightly different place. Silver Sky pickups are tuned a little bit higher in frequency. Some of our, say, LT pickups are tuned a little bit lower in frequency. This is in the more the 7.5, 8K range. You can hear that. But there are a lot of people that really like this kind of sound, and to be able to do it in a fashion that really works for any kind of guitar player. Look, I don't think these things are specifically for one thing. You could play jazz on that instrument. You could play country on that instrument. You could play rock on that instrument. You could play R&B on that instrument. You could play blues on it. There's all kinds of, I don't want it to be one genre, but it does fill that one kind of tone.
It's a precision tool to do that little,
that thing.
That thing.
That's good. That's good.
So how about I play some chords and you play a little solo thing with some gain? How about that?
Whole bunch of gain?
Whole bunch of gain.
Why not?
So,
then we're going to switch guitars. I'm going to do with that one.
Okay.
All
so let's see.
Come on, switch guitars.
Caught you that little chromatic descent.
That was perfect. I like the sound of this guitar. It's got a squawk to it that just sings.
It's very cool.
All right, so everybody, we're going to be releasing the NF53. That's this one, and the Myles Kennedy Signature Model. We are really pleased with these instruments. This is the release video, isn't it?
It is. One of them, yeah.
One of them. There you go, and there you have it. Well done, my friend. Well
Thanks,
done.
Paul.
You're a beautiful
All right.